Hello and welcome to the latest from Hearts Standard. My name is Joel Sked and I am delighted to be joined once again by James Kearney as we look ahead to Heart of Midlothian Scottish Premiership clash with Ross County tomorrow in Dingwall. James, how is it going?
Yeah, I can't complain. Yeah, the sun's shining. It looks like spring's almost sprung. So yeah, it's been a nice wee day. It's been good. Hopefully looking forward to another 3 points tomorrow, obviously. But yeah, no, it's been nice. How's your day been?
Absolutely. Today's been very, very wet in Edinburgh, as it has been for the last 36 hours or so. So I was meant to be playing golf today, but that did not happen for a couple of reasons. But hey, now we've got a long drive up to Dingwall tomorrow. But no, I'm really looking forward to it. Again, it's the final league game before an international break. So I think there's only 100 tickets left yesterday for the away end. So it should be packed. It should be it should be really good. And I suppose before we get cracking into it, one thing I will say is, for those who are watching, any questions, just fire them in the comments and we'll get around to them either throughout the show or right at the end. And I also have what would you call it? A message from our sponsors.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, so
sponsor seems to be a big thing today. Anyway, but we'll get to that.
Yes, it does. We will get to that as well. But taking a quick pause to spotlight our new sponsor, MPH Group, the award-winning family-run business excelling in home improvements across the mainland of Scotland. Specialising in bespoke kitchens, bathrooms and high-efficiency boilers, MPH Group brings your dream home to reality. They have recently achieved the prestigious Construction Line Gold, Safe Contractor and ISO certifications, underscoring their commitment to excellent safety and quality management in all their projects. This accomplishment is a testament to their dedication to providing the best possible service to their clients. They're also proud to announce their latest KPB showroom in Dunfermline, the Kingdom, which is now open for appointments. Experience the dedication and craftsmanship that sets MPH Group apart. Visit www.mph.group and see how they can transform your home. If you're interested in MPH Group, I've not done it yet, but all the details will be in the YouTube description once we have finished this. But now that is out the road, we'll get cracking. Let's just quickly touch on the sponsorship that was announced at 5 p.m, a 3-year record-breaking deal with Stellar Amada. It's a name that Hearts fans are familiar with. It's adorned the away kit last season. It's on the pink kit this season. And they have been involved with Hearts since 2021. So it's a sponsor that Hearts know very well. It's a move away from Save the Children and MND Scotland, who have adorned the kits over the last, I think it's 9 seasons. It's a deal that's the largest commercial kit deal in the club's history. It's 3 years. It will net in excess of 7 figures. We will have an exclusive interview with Colin Frame, who is the managing director and founder of Stellar Amada, next week. We talked to him yesterday at the Orium, and it was a really interesting conversation as to why he and his company got involved with Hearts, and also talking about the fact that involves the women's team. It's not just the men's kits, it's the women's kits as well. He is not a Hearts fan, but he said he has grown to be become a Hearts fan. So it's it's a very good deal for Hearts. And Daniel asks, will it be on the home kits next season? It will be. It'll be the home, away and third kits next season, start of the 24-25 season. So yeah, there's Hearts getting 3 kits next season again. So an exciting new partnership, and again means more money for the club. And it's I think it's over the last few years, it's been really good to see MND Scotland and Save the Children on the front of the jersey. But it's probably there's only so long with a club like Hearts where you are looking to build a business and revenue that you can have them on the front of the shirt.
Yeah, it's that thing where, don't get me wrong, obviously having doing things like promoting charities as your shirt sponsor, I think it's a really nice thing to do and it's a really great gesture. But like you say, at a time when Hearts are looking to kind of consolidate third place, try and compete in Europe, try and get there regularly, it's a big revenue stream to cut off. It's a lot of money to turn down, in order to promote charity. So again, I think the last 8-9 years, whatever it's been, the Hearts have been doing this. I think that's great. I think that is really good. But I do think that it's one of those things where it's just that extra bit of money. That could be the difference between signing a player and not signing a player, or whatever it might be. And then it does make a big difference down the line. And especially I think when you look at the way things are going with the hotel as well, I think just having this extra revenue stream can only put Hearts in a stronger position, further down the line. So again, it is a difficult choice to make, I think, because obviously you want to be supporting charities, you want to be helping if that's something you can do, but at the same time, it's like I say, it's 7 figures. It's an awful lot of money. So yeah, perfectly understandable.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you think of it as well, it's like every if you think of other clubs as the Hearts as competitors, like every other club's doing it. So it's in order to kind of compete, particularly in Europe, that extra money can go an awful long way.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think again there would have been the way the worked with Save Our Children and MND Scotland was. I do think there was it was partnerships were involved, so Hearts weren't massively out of pocket. But again, it's just the nature of things that's only probably like the fact that Hearts have done it for 9 seasons. I think is massive. A testament to the club for doing that. Before we move on, a couple like Jim was saying, the first time in a while, not the charities had to see that stop, but more money for the club is always good. And Jim also says my first shirt had Strongbow, and I don't think it got much better until Save the Children came along. And I think speaking to Colin on Thursday, he was talking about obviously all the good that comes with the partnership with Hearts and the work they want to do within the community, etc. But he did mention that when he looks at Hearts shirts, he thinks of the most iconic one that he thinks of is the iconic sponsor is Strongbow, and that's kind of you'd love for that to be Stella Armada, to become something like Strongbow with big moments, and I suppose that's what, if you have your sponsor on a cup winning team, etc., it always makes a difference. Now let's move on to tomorrow's match at Ross County. So where will we start? Let's start with the team lineup. I'm not seeing yours, James. I've been out and about, but what do you think Naismith will do tomorrow? What do you think he'll make many changes? Do you think he'll change from the back 4 to the back 3?
So I've seen your lineup. So this is actually where we disagree. So I think it'll be a back 4 again tomorrow.
Okay.
I think Naismith will stick with that, mainly because I think back to the game at Tynecastle back in December when Hearts set up with the back 3 that day. Didn't go well at all. Obviously, County were 2-0 up, around about the hour mark. But the Hearts got a lot better once they changed the shape round to like a 4-3-3 or looking like a 4-2-3-1 at times. And then towards the end, it was almost a 4-2-4 with 2 wingers and 2 strikers, and kind of really throwing bodies at the box. Now, I don't think we'll see that. I think that was a bit of I think that was kind of kitchen sink time to an extent.
Yeah.
But I do think that just the way the fact that County looked pretty fine and they're pretty happy when the Hearts were playing in the back 3, they weren't causing too many. Hearts weren't causing anywhere near enough problems. County looked relatively comfortable. Then the system changed. And it was like a flickered switch. It was like the switch had just flicked, and all of a sudden Hearts were making chances. So I think that Naismith will look at that game and go, "Okay, we should probably start with the back 4 in that instance." Now, that does mean that one of Rolls, Kingsley, and or Civic's probably going to get dropped,
or Cochrane, as he did against Morton.
Or Cochrane, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'd expect Cochrane to come back into the team.
Same.
And I think it might end up being Civic that ends up having to make way, which is, I think, a bit unfair slightly, because I think actually the last 2 games he's been brilliant. Like, I think all of him and Rose obviously been excellent those last 2 matches. But at the same time, I think particularly with Kent being out at the moment, Kingsley has to be pretty much the first name on the team sheet in defence, at least anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think just for his leadership qualities, he was a really solid, consistent performer. And I'd expect Rose to probably partner him. So I think while Civic has done basically nothing wrong in the last couple of games, I think he could find himself just getting nudged out the lineup. But yes, I think we'll probably see that, and I think probably Len Bakisa at right back as well.
Just on Kingsley, going off on a wee bit of a tangent there. What did you make of Naismith's comments? Did you read the Q&A, or did you read the Naismith's comments about Kingsley? And I found it really interesting that he was quite open and basically confirmed that he's just on the outside of the Scotland national team, that they're obviously keeping tabs on him. And it's something that I wrote in one of my newsletters this week that go out at I don't know, 5, 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I usually change them. That Kingsley, you look at him, and I think we potentially did we talk about it earlier on the week, where you look at Kingsley?
Yeah, we touched on it.
Yeah, we got asked a question about Kingsley and how he fits into the Scotland system, and I did find Naismith's comments really interesting, but also just the fact that he's the praise he gave Kingsley and called him one of the best players this season, which I think is absolutely spot on.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair. It's that thing, I was saying earlier, he's remarkably consistent. He doesn't really make mistakes. Obviously he's very versatile, which comes in handy. He can play a variety of different positions, different roles within those positions. So, no, I think Naismith's probably right. I think I'd probably say after Kent, Kingsley probably has been Hearts' best defender this season. I don't think that's too much of a stretch to go on. And it is interesting to see that he's clearly on the fringes of the squad, because in fact, it was just yesterday actually I was having a chat with a pal of mine who supports Celtic, and so naturally he's a big Kieran Tierney fan. He really likes him. And I was basically, we're kind of chatting about, well, who plays if he doesn't, if Tierney drops out of the squad. And I was kind of what we were saying the other day. It's like, well, Kingsley seems to be the obvious like for like, the most like for like replacement to slot in the event that Tierney does get injured for Scotland, which, let's face it, does happen a fair bit. So yeah, I mean, I would certainly like to see him in the squad. I guess the one thing you would say is, though, you look at the players who are ahead at the moment, and like they're all excellent players playing at a good level as well. I don't think there's no shame in losing out in a squad behind somebody like maybe Jack Hendry or Grant Hanley, who've been absolutely brilliant for Scotland over the last year or so. So yeah, I think he can probably feel a wee bit hard done by not to be in the camp, and I think he'd certainly add a lot of value to it. But and you never know, between now and the end of the season, if another defender in the squad picks up an injury, if Kingsley continues to play the way he's doing, he might well just about sneak onto the plane after all. But yeah, I certainly think he could offer a lot particularly in that left centre half role for Scotland, and I would like to see it. And it's probably a bit of a shame that we've not seen more of it, particularly when you go back to the way he was playing under Nielsen in the back three, and he was like scoring lots of goals and getting forward and all the rest of it. And like, you kind of thought if he wasn't becoming an established member of the squad, then maybe he might not ever become an established member of the squad. He might be just the kind of guy that's drafted in every now and then, rather than being a regular feature of the defence. Yeah. I think
I've got so much sympathy for him, because last season was tough for him on and off the field, but he's came back really strong, and I give testament to his character and his development this season, how important he's been, and the fact that it's you look at it and you talk about his versatility. I make it that he's played in so left wing back, left centre back in a 3, left centre back in a 4, right centre back in a 3 as well. So just kind of all over the place, and he is someone that I think Naismith said would be. It was like, he's be in the running for Player of the Year. It's like, let's be real here. Laurie Shankland's get Player of the Year every single award. So yeah, but if you take Shankland out the equation, then yeah, he's certainly in the conversation with Frankie Kent. But we'll move on. So you went for a back four of Cochrane, Rowles, Kingsley, and Lempikisa. What is your midfield? What does your midfield look like? I'll come back and kind of talk through my logic.
So I've just gone for, I think we've actually got a similar setup. So I went for Benny at number 6 as usual, because I'm a big Benny fan, and Naismith's a big Benny fan with good reason. Probably, I'd imagine Devlin holds on to the spot again. I think just get the number starts deserved. He needs more minutes anyway, and he played a really important role in the win over Morton, I think, which is always great to see. And then after that, I imagine it's got to be George Grant, really, just because of the injuries elsewhere. I know Scott Fraser's coming back into the squad, but you wouldn't imagine he'd get parachuted straight into the starting 11 if it is touch and go like that. So you'd imagine, I think for that kind of playmaker role, right now it's kind of Grant. It's Grant's the only real option, I would argue, in there. So I'd imagine that'll probably be the makeup of the midfield for tomorrow afternoon.
and just the usual front three.
Well, it's the only front three. That's all there is.
Very true.
Need to bring in Tagawa for one of them, but
very true.
Yeah. It's got to be Shankland, Forrest, Vargas, surely. Has to be.
Oda like Fraser's touch and go as well, but again, I can just, that's why I've went for the same midfield three as you, despite I thought Grant was off the boil against Morton. I do think he just has that. I just think that he has that within his game, and at times throughout his whole Hearts career, where I find he doesn't put a run of consistent games when he starts. Sometimes when he comes out the team, then comes off the bench, he changes the game, or it has an influence. But I do think he's someone that just persists with, and he will be a benefit to the midfield. And it's something that you've been looking at this week with a view to going out next week. Just how maybe he's actually been underrated this season. But yeah, I think he plays ahead of Fraser. The reason, going back to the system, the reason I think it will be a back three is because, having watched Ross County during the week, they are very much a team who, I don't know what they don't have much of an identity, and I thought watching them against Hibs, I thought they were really poor for large periods, and they're quite one-dimensional. So they had Eamon Brophy and Simon Murray up front, so they were quite back to front, and they would, I think, as Scott said in our video yesterday, they would look to kind of hit the channels going behind, because Brophy and Murray are two very busy strikers, and then their midfield three was very workmanlike, like Conor Randall, who played fullback on loan for us a few years ago. He was in there. The Yan Dhanda, who come on to talk about, he obviously has had injuries. He came off the bench, and they don't have anyone else like Dhanda to replace and provide that creativity. So they're kind of one-dimensional. And the only reason I thought maybe going with a back three is it provides a more solid base, because I imagine we will have a lot of possession tomorrow, and that it almost, with that possession, it'll force the wing backs higher up the pitch, and Hearts will have, I think we'll have a lot of players in the opposition half, and if they look to counter and go in behind really quickly, I just think having a third centre back protects against their front two. That's my only thinking with potentially the back three. Yeah,
I mean, it's a fair point. It's a good argument. You're right, because you're right. Particularly Brophy and Murray, they are very industrious. They do get around the park, and they will want to hit on the counter. That's what they're good at. And even Brophy's made a career at that. So I do take the points. I guess that's probably why I think Rolls will probably start again. It's just like, he's got that pace, he's got that recovery that, if there are balls in behind, he can get there. I still think you're wrong though. I'm sticking with the back four.
Well, it does, but the reason I second guess myself is right. You're having to drop either Forrest and Vargas. I think when I sent my lineup to you, I dropped Forrest, but I'm kind of second guessing myself and thinking Vargas is probably a better option off the bench, or you've got obviously Forrest that can play wing back. So yeah, I do think it's a case of, I think you could probably name 9 players. Just with the injury situation, you can probably name 9 players who are almost dead certs to play in Dingwall tomorrow. I think you mentioned Cammy Devlin. Just wanted to touch on him for a second, because he was the player at the press conference yesterday, and he was fantastic. He's always really good to talk to. He's really insightful. He's thoughtful with what he says. He's very like how he plays. He's quite infectious as well. He's funny. But I asked him, there'll be a piece going out tonight, and I asked him about how his game's changing under Naismith and what Naismith's asked him to do. And he was like, sometimes players might just maybe reluctant or guarded to give you specific specifics about how the roles change. But he was really good. He was like moving his hands and talking about 8s, 10s, and 6s, and on the table. It was really, really insightful. So I think that would be provide a wee bit of detail behind his evolution under Naismith and what Naismith wants from the. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops, because that is something that I think we've talked about this season with Devlin. He started really well. You really like him, but whether he sometimes doesn't fit into what Naismith wants in terms of the control aspect, and that's what Callum Newhoff has brought to the midfield.
Yeah, he has. I mean, I know thing I say this every time we mention Cammy Devlin, but I do think his passing is better than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that wonderful pass on Monday night when he lodged it in towards Shankland from just inside his own half. Shankland got the ball at the edge of the Morton box, and that's the one where he poked it through to Vargas, and Vargas somehow skied it. So stuff like that, where it's like, that's an absolutely wonderful ball. I do think he could be a bit better with his passing, particularly in the final third. Like, it's not to say it's perfect, but I do think it's better than he gets credit for. But I mean, the big thing for Devlin is that it's his ball winning stats. So it's like, as I'm sure people know, as I'm sure fans know already, but like, he's one of the best in the league. Like, he's got I don't have the numbers exactly to hand, but in terms of like his work off the ball, getting the ball back, putting pressure on opponents, all those kinds of things, he's one of the best performing players in the whole of Scotland in that regard. So I understand there can be a frustration there, or perhaps a reluctance at times from Naismith, but again, I'm a really big Cammy Devlin fan. I always have been. I just really like what he brings to the team. I really like that kind of, like you say, that infectious energy that he brings. And he's always good if you're going to get in a good old scrap as well. He's a good one.
There was a great moment on Monday night. I'm not sure if you probably would have seen it because you watched the game back. I think it was first half. He flew into a challenge. It was like he was under control, but he thundered into it. It was with Alan Power, and then Alan Power's. But like, it was a type of challenge that you often see players react to, but in a way that they make a meal of it. Alan Power, I think, respected it, and they shook hands after. It was weird because watching them afterwards, they were kind of talking to each other, and like Devlin was like, "That was an okay challenge," and Power was like, "Yeah, that was absolutely fine," and they kind of shook hands. But again, they are two very similar players in that. You look at Power at Kilmarnock, especially at Kilmarnock, and I think he was just seen as some sort of hammer thrower or someone who just wins the ball, but then is underrated is kind of just seen as not a very good player on the ball, whereas in fact he's better than a lot of people give him credit for, and you can probably put Cammy Devlin into that category. In terms of, we kind of talked about what to expect from Ross County. Ross County are under Don Cowie's I think he's interim management now. Don Cowie also used to play for Hearts, played with Naismith as well. They are 11th in the league. They drew 2-2 in midweek with Hibs. Kind of talked about them. That they have, so it was Derek Adams obviously brought in a lot of players on loan and changed the team about. They took out Ross Laidlaw, who's one of the most consistent goalkeepers in the Premiership over the last couple of seasons, and brought in Josh Wickens? I can't remember his is George Wickens, that's it, young goalkeeper. And then they've got quite a young team with smattering off experience, but looking at the trajectory of Ross County and how they play, this is a great opportunity for Hearts to go at Dingwall and get that 10th away league win, and to do that before the split is incredible, considering it's the first time since 91-92 that would have been would have been achieved. And would you agree, James, that this isn't a game where you just go, away from home in the Premiership, settle for a point? This is a game now, Hearts in position they are. It's one that don't need to win, but you should expect Hearts to win.
I think so, yeah. I think just with the way the Hearts have performed this season, particularly the away form, obviously it's been a massive upturn in that regard. So I think that fans can go probably expecting a win, because Hearts will go in as favourites, and rightly so. I mean, the one thing I would say is that under Cowie, there has been a little bit of a resurgence. I mean, obviously under Adams they were this in total free fall for a good wee while, but the last 3 games, they've not lost any of them at home. In the last 3 home games, I think it's been 2 draws and a win. So there has been, they are starting to show signs of life, and obviously they're in that relegation scrap at the bottom where, let's face it, they have more to play for tomorrow than Hearts do. Yes. That's just a fact. But as you say, I don't think there's anything wrong though with the Hearts players, fans, coaching staff all going to Dingwall expecting to get 3 points. They've already done it this season once. There's no reason they can't do it again. That day, that was quite a cagey game, to be fair. Back in, was that like August, maybe October, September, October.
Late September, October. Yeah.
I remember at the time thinking that was quite a big win at the time.
It was,
but it was one of those games where Hearts didn't create loads. There wasn't much in the game. It was quite tight and quite cagey. And okay, Hearts have come a long way since then, and obviously County have changed managers twice since then. I think 3 times.
This will be Naismith's third different manager he's faced.
Yeah,
this season.
So obviously the goalposts have moved, so it's maybe not the best reference point to try and figure out what's going to happen. But at the same time, yeah, I think particularly when you look at County, they've got a tricky run of games as well. But going into the split, they're fighting for their lives. They'll be fighting tooth and nail for everything they can get. But I still think Hearts should have absolutely gone into this one expecting to get the 3 points because they're a better football team. And they were given a fright at Tynecastle back in December, but I think just pound for pound, man for man, it's like how many County players would get into the Hearts team? Like maybe just one.
I'm just trying to think. Yeah. And
by all accounts, he will be doing that come the summer anyway.
Yes, of course, and that leads me on very, very nicely to talk about Yan Dhanda because it is. I think anyone who watched the broadcast, if anyone's got Hearts TV and watched Naismith's interview yesterday from the press conference, Baird had a smile when Naismith was asked about Dhanda. Naismith certainly did, and I think it was Brian McLaughlin, the BBC commentator, the BBC reporter said Naismith was obviously very coy because it's not official yet.
Yeah,
the deal. But Brian McLaughlin said to Naismith, "Oh, you wouldn't make a very good poker player," and Naismith just laughed. It's like, yeah, I know, but no, I think Dhanda has been injured and. He's just a difference maker for County. Yeah, he's been quite inconsistent, but be interesting to just see if he does actually start or does play tomorrow. Obviously, we've seen his goal during the week. Composed finish and a very, very good celebration. He spoke to the press afterwards, so there'll be some stuff dropping tomorrow or tonight about what he said, and I think a lot of the stuff will be of interest to Hearts fans. Certainly a couple of comments he made, which I found really interesting and no one had any idea about. So keep an eye on that, but I can't say anything more because embargoes and stuff like that. But no, he's going to be, unless something ridiculous happens, he's going to be at Tynecastle next season. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he fits in because you look at the options at the moment, and we just talked about George Grant and Scott Fraser, and he would have been perfect to come into a match like this in that position in the midfield. No,
exactly. Because obviously Lowry was out in the first half of the season. He's now back at Rangers. Fraser's been brought in. He's still getting up to speed, and then he's had an injury that's set him back a bit as well. And then you got Grant, who I think is generally quite a consistent performer, but then like the other day, like we saw against Morton, does have off days every now and again, and it happens. And it's just right now there is no alternative. The only other player you could think of in the squad would maybe be someone like Barry Mackay, but obviously he's injured as well. So yeah, certainly I think Dhanda will prove to be a very valuable addition to the squad. We've seen what he can do. I mean, obviously he scored that wonderful free kick at Tynecastle as well back in that 2-2 draw. But most importantly, I think it's his underlying numbers, his stats and stuff, is the kind of creative stuff that he does. It's been really good, even when he's been playing in a struggling Ross County team. Like there are still like kind of his underlying numbers that are impressive, that do point to the fact that if you put this guy in a good team that actually wins games and you'll get more out of him. So I think that I wrote something back in January, I think it would have been. It must have been January, when basically just looking at what he could bring. And again, I think he's got a lot of strings to his bow, and I think he's a really talented player. And I think that he's someone who absolutely deserves a move up from the greatest respect to County. He should be playing in a bigger club at a better stage, and that's exactly what Hearts can provide. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him when he finally gets into the capital. It will be interesting to see if he plays tomorrow, though, because it did kind of seem like Naismith was kind of like, oh, we'll see if he plays, blah blah blah. But because of just the nature of this deal, where it's gone through, but no one can really say it's gone through. In normal circumstances, you might go, okay, well, maybe Dhanda doesn't play then. But obviously, like you said earlier, but he's also one of the most important players, and no one else can really do what he does. So he has to play by that logic. So it will be interesting. I'd be amazed if he's not playing. But I think if he wasn't to play, that'd also be quite interesting for its own merits.
Yeah, there'll definitely be an aspect of Dhanda watch if he does play tomorrow in the analysis at the end of the game. Just before we finish up, Ben Odlin in the YouTube comments makes a very, very good point. I want Hearts to win all games, but I also want Aberdeen to go down. So win-win tomorrow. that is a one bit of solace if Hearts were to lose and to go down and travel back from Dingwall tomorrow. Is that it keeps Aberdeen or mounts the pressure on Aberdeen, who are sitting 10th. Obviously, Ross County are in 11th. I think there's 3 points difference. But Ben also asks, how many wins mathematically do we need to secure third? I've not worked this out particularly well, but if you look at
because it depends on other results, doesn't it? Depends on St Mirren get on.
So St Mirren and Kilmarnock play tomorrow. So there's every chance that I think you're looking at just say a draw there and Hearts win, that takes the lead, that takes it to 15 points. And then Hearts play St Mirren and Kilmarnock before the split. So it's the Hearts play St Mirren. No, Kilmarnock then St Mirren, before Livingston before the split. So there is a potential, and it's not out with the realms of it's not impossible that Hearts could have wrapped up third place one game before the split if there was a draw tomorrow at Rugby Park and then Hearts were to then go and beat Kelly at Tynecastle, then go and win at St Mirren Park. That I think that would mean it would be official that Hearts are third. But I need to check my math on that.
Yeah, this is kind of back of a fag packet maths, isn't it? But yeah, that's certainly. I think it will be. I would imagine it'll be either the St Mirren or the Kilmarnock games. Like those will be the most likely chances to get it secured. But like you say, it's becoming a matter of when Hearts will get it third and not if. Touch wood, But at the same time,
I'm comfortable now that I don't need to touch wood. I fully believe in this Hearts side. I think the big one now is the Aberdeen Celtic semi-final before Hearts play Rangers in the semi-final. So yeah. That's just because I think Scott made the point that he still expects St Mirren and Kilmarnock, the two teams closest to Hearts, to still kind of slit each other throat, not to put that run together that Aberdeen did last season.
Yeah,
coupled with Hearts' explosion. I just don't see this Hearts team, the way that they play. Kind of wrote about it, how there's something alluringly unemotional about the way Hearts play at times, that I don't think they will get into a rut. I think this team has proven that if there's a bad result, they can bounce back from it. Even if there's a couple of bad results, they can turn it around. Naismith can make changes that are necessary.
No, absolutely. Basically, Hearts are in this position now where, in order not to get third, they basically have to lose every single game from now and the end of the season.
Yeah.
While either Kelly or St Mirren goes on a run where they win 7 of their last 9 or something like that. So again, it all feels incredibly unlikely. I mean, it'd be absolutely fantastic. I think just to get it wrapped up before the split. I think apart from that, obviously it's a big statement to do that in itself, getting it wrapped up so quickly. But it also does give Naismith, 5 games, perhaps even 1 or 2 more, where he will be able to, he won't have to be so worried about results. Okay, they'll still, obviously Hearts will still be looking to try and, match that points tally that was set. Was it 72? Was it 71 points?
It was 71 or 72.
They're thereabouts. But obviously, they'll have that in their sights and they'll be going like, okay, well, we could, kind of break that glass ceiling this season. But at the same time, it does also mean that for those matches where third secured, there's actually nothing really on the line. Gives a chance, to play play some younger players. Maybe try some new things tactically. Maybe we know that there's been a lot of talk about at times Hearts don't make enough chances, or they can be a bit careful at the back or in terms of their possession. If there's literally nothing to lose, then you might as well just take the handbrake off and have a go and play about some tactics and see, okay, this works and this doesn't,
Yeah, I think so. They just looked at 74 points. That was 2005, 2006. Yeah, so I mean, it's a big target. It's achievable, but I think it means that Hearts are going to have to put again a really good run together over the next couple of months. I think we touched on it yesterday. The dynamic will be whether Hearts are in the Scottish Cup final.
Yeah,
because those 5 games after the split, if Hearts in the Scottish Cup final, there is that importance to keep the momentum going while also ensuring players are getting into that final at their not fatigued.
Yeah.
But if Hearts are not in the Scottish Cup final and third is, so if it's a Celtic Rangers final, third is secured, and then there's that 5 games where Naismith can experiment. Tagawa can get a run of 5 games.
Exactly. Yeah, opportunities like that where you go, okay, the result doesn't actually matter. It's all about performance. And it's all about just trying experimenting tactically and seeing what works and what doesn't. You're not going to get. You're very, very, rarely going to get that kind of run of games, competitive games as a manager. You don't often get 5-6 games like that in order to play about with stuff. You don't really tend to get that non competitive games. So, I mean. I would imagine that Naismith would want to take advantage of that. Again, he seems like quite a thoughtful coach, and he does seem really quite into his tactics and all that. As you'd expect, he's a football manager. But he likes to experiment and try new things, and I could see him, playing about with stuff and trying to see what does work and what doesn't, because it's just great opportunity to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also think I don't think he's the type of manager who will just give out opportunities to players if they don't deserve it. So I do, but whereas you still expect Denham, Pollock, and especially Macaulay Tate, they would certainly get more minutes. And then the fact that there's been a few others knocking on the door. James Wilson is also playing in the Scottish Cup. Yeah. Then on Monday we had Callum Sandilands and Bob McCluskey on the bench, and I know Callum Sandilands is. I believe that he's impressed Naismith a lot in training. So there will be that opportunity for the B team guys who do really impress, that there's that chance for them after the split. So no, it's even though third is very close getting wrapped up, there's really good opportunities between now and the end of the season, just to maybe look ahead to the summer and next season. But we will leave it there, James. Thank you very much. Before we go, give me a score prediction.
1-0 Hearts.
I'm going to go 2-0. We're going to go goal in either hand. Yeah, we're actually going to go for a first half goal, and quite a composed and comfortable win, hopefully. But we'll see. Let's leave it there. Everyone, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for continuing to subscribe and support and read and listen to everything from Hearts Standard. You can get onto the website now. There's a few pieces that are worth checking out. Obviously, they've got the announcement of the record deal. We've got I've got put an opinion piece on about the identity of Hearts and just that patience and control. And then there's information from the press conference yesterday from Stephen Naismith, some injury lines, and they've also tonight got the piece on Cammy Devlin. We'll be back on video probably Monday to review the Ross County game, hopefully talking about a win. But until then, thank you very much, everyone, and thank you very much, James. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.